Here are the real reasons why everybody's moving to Atlanta, Georgia. One of the biggest reasons why so many people are moving to Atlanta is the strong economy here in Atlanta, and it is just growing every year. There are lots of large corporations here in the city of Atlanta, and then there are many corporations who are coming here to Atlanta from the West Coast. So we have big companies like Google, Home Depot, Coca-Cola, Pepsi Company. We have Delta Airlines and Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, which is the largest airport or the busiest airport in the entire world here in Atlanta. We have NCR, AT&T, Equifax, IBM, to name a few. And then we also have an enormous healthcare system here in Metro Atlanta. I count about 15 hospitals just within the Metro Atlanta area. So there are so many employers here, and many times people who are coming here to Atlanta are coming looking for work. And there's no end of employers here in Atlanta and many people who are hiring. And that's certainly one of the real reasons why so many people are moving to the city of Atlanta. Another reason why so many people are moving to Atlanta is the home values. If you're thinking about moving to Metro Atlanta, or you just want to know what it's like to live here, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Thank you so much to everyone who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. But the average home values here in Atlanta and the cost of living is certainly one of the reasons why so many people are moving here. The average home value in Metro Atlanta is right around $400,000, just below $400,000 in the last few months. And this is a big difference compared to other cities in the country like LA or New York or Miami, where average home values are much higher. So it's super common for people to come to Metro Atlanta looking for work, looking for lower cost of living, especially the way that the economy is going and the amount of people talking about recession lately. It's super common for people to come to the city of Atlanta to lower their cost of living. And then another reason why so many people move here is the amount of parks and green space and nature that we have here in Metro Atlanta. You wouldn't typically think that a major metropolitan city like Atlanta would have so much outdoor activities or so much green space. But that really is one of the things that catches so many people by surprise when they come here to Atlanta. We have parks and green space everywhere. We have the Chattahoochee River, which goes through Metro Atlanta. We have two major lakes, Lake Allatoona and Lake Lanier, in the northern part of Metro Atlanta. Right in the middle of the city of Atlanta, we have Piedmont Park, which is an enormous park surrounded by the high-rise buildings. And you wouldn't typically expect to see the high-rise buildings in a park like that, but it's a really great change of pace from the busy city life. When you go to Piedmont Park, it's a great place to get away from the city. It's funny, I've spoken to people who come to Atlanta from other parts of the country and they describe Atlanta as being tropical, and that's really what it feels like. We have so many trees everywhere, especially like in the summertime with the amount of humidity that we have. It really does feel tropical here. So I think for many people, it's hard to imagine Atlanta as being so green or so tropical, but it really is described as a city in the woods because that's what Atlanta is. It is a city that has been developed out of the woods that were here in Georgia before the development. So there are trees everywhere, especially in the suburbs of Metro Atlanta, where most of the families live. It's super common to find lots of parks and playgrounds. And then speaking of the suburbs, that's another reason why so many people move to Metro Atlanta. Metro Atlanta has 6 million people, but about 95% of those people live in one of the suburbs around the city of Atlanta. So while Atlanta is a big city and there are lots of people and lots of traffic, it's not that way in the suburbs of Metro Atlanta. It's very different in the suburbs. It's much quieter. You know, there's not nearly as much traffic or as many people in the suburbs. And this is one of the reasons why so many people move to Metro Atlanta. They're trying to get away from the busier cities that they're coming from, but they still want that proximity to the city of Atlanta. So many people will live in the suburbs and work in the city of Atlanta. Another reason why so many people move to the city of Atlanta is that we have all 4 seasons. Many people, like people in South Florida, are looking for like a break from the heat, or people from the north want to come down to Atlanta to get a break from the cold. And that's a great reason to live here. In Atlanta, we have an average high temperature in the summertime of about 95 degrees, and in the wintertime, it will get down to about 20 degrees. Of course, it varies quite a bit here and there, but I would say average is right around those temperatures. So we have a great fall season. You have the changing of the colors of all of the trees here in the spring. It's such a great difference when we get away from the winter, and then finally it starts to warm up and everything starts to bloom. It's a great time of year. So we have all 4 seasons, which is a big difference for people who come from other parts of the country. And then another great reason why so many people are moving to Atlanta is the cultural diversity that you can find not only in the city of Atlanta, but even in many of the other suburbs around the city of Atlanta. I think many people kind of think of the city as being like one culture or one race, which it certainly was decades ago, but the city of Atlanta has come a long way and we really have grown a lot. And Atlanta has become a cultural melting pot with the busiest airport in the world and the World Olympics that we had here in 1996. There are lots of reasons why so many races are now represented here in the city of Atlanta, and that's really one of the highlights of living here. Lots of cultural diversity. You can experience many different races and ethnicities and cultures here in Atlanta, which is one of the best parts about living in the city of Atlanta. There are certainly lots of great reasons to live here, but there are also some things that you should be aware of that are not so good about the city of Atlanta. Check out this video if you want to see the bad sides of living in Atlanta.